Welcome back from an ad break. We will continue with our business studies lesson under the topic visual aids. So we will continue from where we left off. We're still talking about the types of visual aids. So our next visual aid is we're talking graphs here. So graphs summarizes information and they communicate the trends and the patterns. So you should be familiar with this one. We've got different types of graphs. We've got a line graph, which is used to to show changes rather. Over time, we could have like different types. This can be a line graph. I'm not good with drawing, but you understand. So we're having a line graph like that, right? And then we've got bar graphs, which show a change of something over time and show comparison between different groups. So with our bar graphs, please forgive me with my drawing. It's not that good, but you've got our bar graph here. Here is your bar graph. Here is your bar graph. All right, and then you've got a pie chart, which shows how something is divided into different parts. So as it says, a pie, you understand a pie? A pie, we've got a circle like that. This is your pie chart, and then you can indicate whatever that needs to be indicated there. And so this is your pie chart. Maybe you can write here, it's 45% of whatever that you are communicating. It's 20% here, just like that. So that is your pie chart, which shows how something is divided into two different parts. So this obviously will be determined or will be dependent on what you are discussing or what you are explaining to the audience. Then you've got tables. Tables are useful in summarizing and showing statistical information clearly. Tables present detailed information. Tables, you are familiar with them. We've got your tables, maybe it could be in a like this. We've got column A and column B and just like that. So they present detailed information. Right, and then you've got diagrams and illustrations. They make it easy for the reader to follow by providing relationships with an organization. So these are diagrams, maybe they are skeletons, maybe drawings, and needs to be, we are labeling in that diagram and all that. So we are done with the explanation of the different visual aids. But now you're probably asking yourself, why is it important that we have the visual aids? What is the purpose of visual aids? Why the visual aids? This is something that we should have started with actually. But now you understand, since you understand the types and the explanation of the visual aids, what is the whole purpose of visual aids? Number one, they add value and clarity of the presentation. Imagine you don't understand these, when I tell you that 45% of this is taken to, but you don't understand what we mean by 45%. So when we do a pie chart, you actually see that, oh, it means the majority of the total budget, it's taken or is allocated to that department by seeing. So you are visualizing the whole thing. So they add value and clarity. Secondly, they make the presentation to be more interesting and memorable. I'm definitely sure you will never forget my drawings, those ugly drawings that I did. So this is also a type of visual aid that I used. So it is more memorable and interesting. Right, visual aids, they reinforce what the presenter have said. Basically, they emphasize, so this is, we're putting an emphasis. They emphasize, I'll say emphasis, visual aids reinforce what the presenter have said. So then the fourth one, it helps the message or helps get the message across more easily. So you imagine I'm talking and there's a visual aid which reinforces what I just said in words, but you can see pictures of what I said. So it makes the message to be relayed easily. It keeps the audience engaged during the presentation. Like I said, as people, we are not the same. You find that some audience, they get easily bored by just listening. So they are more visual than just auditory audience. They prefer to see than just to listen. So I hope you understand these are some of the many purposes that we have of visual aids. There's many others, many more visual aids purposes. So now we're going to speak about the design and the layout of a presentation. How then do you design this presentation and make it more interesting? during the preparation. So this is before the actual preparation. So you know that, okay, next week you have a presentation, you have to be with the audience. So what is it that you must keep in mind when you are preparing the visual aids or the presentation? Remember, we need to put in the visual aids. So what is it that you need to bear in mind? Number one, you need to use large, clear fonts that are easy to read. You are accommodating everybody, those that are short-sighted, you understand, and those that cannot really hear properly, so you need to also accommodate such people. Use outlines on slides and keep detailed explanation for the verbal presentation. So if you're going to use slides, make sure that you are summarizing the information. You don't bore the audience so that you're wanting them to read everything on the slide and you make the slides to be very cluttered with information. You don't do that. That can be used. You can elaborate that using like your mouth basically when you're presenting to them. But on the slide, try and be as brief as possible. Limit each slide to 5 or 6 lines. This explains what I just said now. Make sure the grammar is correct. How can you make sure? You can ask somebody to proofread the information or to proofread it for you. Just it's which is my next point here. Proofread carefully. You can get another person, a second person, to proofread it for you. All right, and with a closing message that the audience will remember over and above the visual aid. But when you are in that visual aid, you can either use maybe a video or just a sentence, a striking quote maybe that the audience will remember. It needs to be colorful and grab attention. Like I said, if it's black and white, it becomes very dull. So by bringing in color, and then it enhances the whole presentation. It needs to be meaningful and appropriate. So obviously you're looking at the target market, know your audience, rather the people that you are presenting to, so that whatever that you're going to use, be it comics or cartoons or whatever that you'll be using, it needs to be appropriate. It needs to be something that they can relate to. And then select a suitable background. So you cannot use a green background and also use a green font color. Do you understand? Right now here, you can see we are using a green background, but yet the font is black. Do you understand? So use a suitable background so there is no clash of that. Even the background, maybe you're going to use pictures, maybe whatever picture that you're using, make sure that these are suitable for your presentation. Avoid long sentences. Keep it simple. I've said this, keep it as brief as possible. All right, and then avoid fancy decorations. Try and be as simple as you can, but yeah, not avoiding it being fancy, and because it tends to be very busy and we lose attention when it is so busy. So I'm sure you understand this is one of the best topics in grade 10 actually, because it's very interesting, because you'll be presenting at some point, presenting to your potential investors maybe, you never know. So if you don't want to bore them, you want to win them over, these are the things that you need to take into consideration, the visual aids and what is the whole purpose of a visual aid, and the type of visual aid that you're going to use, it needs to be appropriate and all of that. And so with that, we are at the end of our presentation for the day. It was lovely talking to you, hoping to see you again next time. Goodbye.